What is going on, everybody? I'm Joe, and welcome to the Neutral Zone Report. And you're lucky today because I've spent some time constructing, refining, and then reconstructing a list of the top 15 best tight ends for fantasy football in this upcoming year. So this is the best product on the table, and I'll swear by what I put out here for you guys. So 15 guys. We'll start with number 15, David Njoku. Okay, so David's going to be right there, like I said, at 15, and he's pulling in 5 touchdowns this year for 445 receiving yards, and he's going to be a tight end 2 on a different team, on a team with less offensive, powerhouse kind of players. This guy's maybe 1,000-yard tight end and give you those George Kittle-esque numbers somewhere else, but just not in Cleveland. He put up 639 yards last year, so about a 200-yard drop, but I'm giving him a touchdown. He only got in the end zone 4 times last year, but you bring OBJ in there, Kareem Hunt comes in there. I don't know. I think production loss. This is a guy that they're going to like going forward. He's a young guy, like I said, 22, but not here in fantasy. Maybe as a back-end kind of guy, or if you have a very good, running back or receiving core, this could be your flex. So he's at 15. Number 14, Delanie Walker. So Delanie rolls right in there in the 14th spot, 6 touchdowns, 550 receiving yards as a tight end 2. Obviously, he was out last year for that, terrible leg injury he had. So, not a lot of serving sample, but the year before was pretty successful, 7,800 receiving yards thereabouts. So Delanie can give you 1,000 yards as a tight end. He's done it before, but I don't see it this far in his career, and we don't really know if he's going to be 100%. So if he is 100%, I'm still giving him 6 touchdowns and 550, and I like that. I like Delanie right there, and I think he is going to be successful this year with those numbers, and hopefully moving forward, he can be beneficial to the Titans in propelling their offense to win games. So Njoku there at 15, Walker at 14. Number 13, Austin Hooper. So 5 touchdowns, 655 receiving yards, and I like Austin Hooper right here. If you look at those numbers, that pretty much mirrors what he did last year. I believe he was at 660 with 4 touchdowns, so 5 yards worse in the receiving game, but 1 touchdown better. So this is a guy who's a tight end 1 in 12-man leagues and 10-man leagues. Not necessarily, but if you go tight end weak throughout the draft, maybe you can pick him up there later down the line. So I like Hooper right there, and I think he's just going to be one of those weapons that Matt Ryan's going to use all year long to be successful. So he's right there. Number 12, Greg Olsen. So I have Olsen collecting 5 touchdowns for 690 receiving yards. He's a tight end 1 in 12-man leagues and a tight end 2 in 10-man leagues, or that fringe tight end 1 and 10-man league. So number 12 right there. If you can stay away from the injury bug, I don't predict injuries, so those numbers are if he played 16 games, but if he can stay away from the injury bug, he's just going to be another important piece of that Carolina offense, and he's definitely needed for them to succeed. Now remember, when he does succeed and he is out there on the field, Christian McCaffrey loses production. It's a fact, okay? So if you have Christian McCaffrey on your team and Greg Olsen is on the board, maybe you should shop around to see who else is out there, because that's only going to hurt yourself if you make that move. But anyways, Hooper at 13, Olsen at 12. Number 11. Looks like it's going to be the new Lion, TJ Hawkinson out of Iowa. 6 touchdowns, 700 receiving yards. This guy's a tight end. Fringe tight end 1 in the 10-man league, but definitely in a 12-man league, possibly a tight end 2. He is climbing in Yahoo and ESPN boards right now, a little bit more steam on him, and it looks like him and Matthew Stafford have great connection. But as of lately, there's been some phenomenal tight ends drafted from the NFL draft. Not specifically last year, but the year before did have O.J. Howard, did have Evan Ingram, and the other Iowa native, George Kittle, was a 5th-round draft pick for the 49ers. So I like TJ, and I think he's going to have a great year. And let's move to 10. Kyle Rudolph. 8 touchdowns, 610 receiving yards. He's a fringe tight end 1 in 10-man leagues, but definitely a tight end 2 anywhere else. Kyle Rudolph just got that big-time contract now, a little bit more confidence. He is going to be one of their primary guys out there with Diggs, and I even think Delvin Cook's going to get some looks out of the backfield, but he's their tight end there in Minnesota. He'll have a good year. He's spotted at 10, Hawkinson at 11. Number 9. Jared Cook, the 10-year vet, just comes off a career-high season in Oakland, 896 through the air last year for 6 touchdowns. Then he becomes a free agent. Then he goes to the Saints, and I'm pretty sure they got this guy named Drew Brees there, and he's not bad. So 7 touchdowns this year for Cook, 690 receiving yards. He's going to be productive. I have him locked in as a TE, a tight end 1 right there in 12-man leagues, and in 10 and 8-man leagues, I have him more as a tight end 2. But if you put him in there as your tight end 1 because you draft accordingly, you're going to be just okay. Jared Cook is a productive tight end, and he'll give you those numbers. He's the first one, again, to crack the top 10. He's at 9. Number 8, it's going to be your boy Eric Ebron. So it was difficult not to, put a 2 next to that 1 right there at the tight end spot. So he's a tight end 1. I have him locked in there in 12-man leagues, and in 10-man leagues, I guess I'm going to lock him in there as a number 1. It's hard sometimes with Ebron, but 8 touchdowns, 720 in the air. He's their number 1 tight end threat, obviously in a 2 tight end system over there in Indianapolis, but he's going to get some red zone looks, and he is a very athletic tight end. He's one of the most athletic tight ends. I put him above Evan Ingram, so he's going to be a fantasy guy to have. You're going to want him on your team, and he's going to give you some production, especially in those interdivisional games in the AFC. So Cook at 9, Eric Ebron again at 8, number 7. Vance McDonald, so a little sleeper right there, but he's going to have a big year. 9 touchdowns, 655 through the air. He had 620 some odd last year, so same amount of receiving, but just more, again, red zone looks in that Pittsburgh offense this year. You lose Antonio Brown. Juju's going to pick up a lot of that slack, but the production's got to go to other people as well, and I think that's why Vance is going to get a little bit of an increase in the touchdown department, making him a top 10 fantasy tight end in 2019, and he's locked in 12 and 10-man leagues. I have him locked in there, so you're going to be able to get this guy far in the draft, so there's no need to push for him. People are definitely going to sleep on Vance McDonald, but this is a guy you're going to want on your team to give you production right there at that tight end spot, and doesn't really get hurt too much, so he's a solid number 7. Number 6 is going to be O.J. Howard. So you know what they say about O.J., the juice is loose. I think it's O.J. Howard. So O.J. Howard, 7.5 touchdowns, 825 receiving yards this year. It's about a 200-yard boost from 2018. But he's the number 1 guy down there in Tampa Bay. And week in and week out at Raymond James Stadium, he's going to lead the charge, and he's going to assert himself as one of the best tight ends in the game and one of the best tight ends in fantasy football. So lock this guy in on your team, whether it's a 10 or a 12-man league, or an 8-man league, whatever. But he's number 6 overall. Vance McDonald again, number 7. Let's crack into that top 5. Bam, there you have it. Evan Ingram, the first to crack the top 5, and I got him at 8 touchdowns, 920 receiving yards through the year. 12-man leagues, tight end 1. 10-man leagues, number 1. 8-man leagues, number 1. Every league, number 1. Okay, so this guy, he's going to be your tight end 1. 500 some odd yards last year through the air, but a big production boost. Obviously, if he stays healthy, I just told you how athletic he was, but the ball distribution between Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram is all going to be very similar. So he's going to have a huge year, kind of like his rookie year, where he put up 720 some odd receiving yards. So even better, and you're going to like this guy this year if you're a Giants fan in New York. Number 4, check it out, it's Hunter Henry. Check out those numbers for Mr. Henry this year. 9 touchdowns, just over 1,000 receiving yards. He's a tight end 1 in 8, 10, and 12-man leagues in any kind of format. So lock him as a top 5 guy. His rookie season, 478 through the year with 8 touchdowns. The year after that, 579 for 4 touchdowns. Had the bad injury, but I feel like it's going to be a bounce-back season, and he's going to be one of the top guys out there in L.A., and more specifically in the league at the tight end position. So Evan Ingram breaks the top 5. Hunter slips in right after him at number 4. Number 3, Zachary Ertz. So hold off a minute before we get into him. Congratulations to his wife, Julie Ertz, who's in the Women's World Cup final today against England. By the time this video airs, it'll be all said and done, but I wish her and the rest of the American women the best of luck out there, and keep making us proud. Anyways, back to Zach Ertz, 9 touchdowns this year, 1,125 yards in the air. He's a locked-in tight end 1, 8, 10, 12-man leagues. Doesn't matter. We all know what he can do on the field, and guess what? Carson Wentz is going to get him the ball, and he's going to be successful. And if Zach Ertz is on your team, don't worry about the tight end spot. You're going to be just okay. Number 2, George Kittle. So 11 touchdowns, 1,250 through the air. It's kind of the same stats as he put up last year. Obviously, receiving yards going down a little bit just because there are healthy bodies coming back there for the 49ers. But, George Kittle is one of the best at what he does, and definitely, in my opinion, a top 3 tight end in the NFL. And has great hands, and he's smart, and he's oddly quick for being how big he is. But he's going to be the number 2 fantasy football tight end this year, which brings us to the number 1 guy, Travis Kelce. So I've had such success recently with this channel, 27 days in, something like that. because of you guys, because you guys are watching, subscribing, and it means so much to me. But, I'm getting some hate too, and I get a little hate from these KC fans, and I get it. I probably wouldn't like the predictions either. Apparently in everyone's sports, realm of things, 16-0 for everyone, 32 Super Bowls galore here in 2019, but that's just not the case. And division predictions are one thing, but when it comes to the number one tight end in the NFL, in reality and in fantasy, it's Travis Kelce. There's no doubt about it. So KC fans, we really don't have to fight right now. Let's just hug it out. He's at number one, 12 touchdowns, 1,275 through the air. And this is going to be your guy, and this is going to be the guy you want on your team to go to the playoffs and be successful, because you never know what he's going to do. Really, the sky's the limit for Mr. Travis. So he's your number one fantasy football tight end of 2019. He finishes off the list, and there you have it. But remember, that's just how I see it. That's my breakdown. That's my predictions. I do spend a lot of time on them to try to give a good picture of what's going to happen here in the upcoming season. But that doesn't mean you have to agree with it. I really want to know how you see it. Did I leave someone out? Do I need to boot someone out to add a top 15 tight end to my list? I'm never going to find out unless you say something. Remember, don't tell me I'm smoking methamphetamines. I'm not. I checked. Or doing crack cocaine. Okay, or somebody said heroin. I don't know how that would apply. But, I'm not doing it. And I'm clear-minded when I make these lists. So say something constructive and productive, and I'm going to chime right back at you, and we're going to come to a mutual agreement, and we might actually agree with each other when it's all said and done. Later in the week, okay, top 25 fantasy wide receivers. Guys, you have to watch this. I have people that no one's talking about. People are jumping. People are falling. And it's must-see NZR TV, okay? Trademark that. But until then, until that Thursday in a couple of days, I'm Joe. I'm your host forever and always. This is the Neutral Zone Report. Until next time, guys, so long.